down at the bottom of the screen here all the different measures. So we'll just wait a second for that to complete. And you'll need to be a little bit patient because it's doing some fairly heavy lifting as far as evaluating these alternatives. Okay. All right. And what have I done wrong here? I guess it's still going. Okay, I'm going to go ahead while it's still chunking away. I'm going to save my project here. Let's see. Let me do a save as, and I'll just go ahead and give it a new name. I'll call it existing home, and I will save it. Now, when I'm saving my project with EnergyPro here, you'll notice that there's a whole bunch of projects on this list here that are automatically installed with the software that give us a bunch of different sample projects. So you'll see there's one here listed, for example, residential sample. Okay, so that's a sample that you guys can take a look at when you're working with the software. There's a CBPC.A example. That's an existing home example. This one tends to be a new home example. So definitely rely on taking a look at those example files that we've given you there. So, okay, so we're going to call this existing home. And we save it. Okay.
This is Scott. Do you mind, after completing this, look at the alternatives tab, that we could answer some of these questions that have popped up?
Why don't we go ahead and start the questions, and and that way I can navigate them through the building tree here.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have several that have come in, and some of those came in with respect to the wizard, although I think they're generally applicable. So I'll just start up at the top. One was a comment from Ori of, are the PG&E rates up to date? He wasn't sure that they were in the when you're entering the utility bills.
Okay.
And how does EnergyPro handle that?
So when you're entering the utility bills here and you select your electricity rates, okay, and you click on this import screen here, this brings up a database of utility rates that were current as of January 1st of this year. So everything there represents January 1st. Now, keep in mind, you don't want the utility rates to be too current because you're probably looking at a year-old set of bills from the homeowner. So you don't necessarily want to have next year's rates in the software. You rather want last year's rates in the software. So what will happen is probably next January, we will evaluate the rates that everybody has, and these will all get updated for you.
Okay, thank you. Mm-hmm. The next question that was posted, and I'm going to try and put these answers in there as you get to them. Do you deduct the glazing from the wall area? You already answered that, actually, that EnergyPro automatically deducts the glazing area from the wall area as you enter it?
Anytime you put in the wall area and the roof area, always put in the gross area, and the software will automatically do the deduction for you.
Okay. And the next question was, how do you enter two furnaces, and there are two different efficiencies? I believe the wizard only really requested information about one furnace.
Okay, so if you need to do two furnaces, and this is going to be a little bit more sophisticated example, what we're going to do here is we are going to take the building tree here, and starting at the DHW level here, we are going to add a mechanical system. So we're going to now call this our first floor, HVAC. And this down here will become our second floor HVAC. Okay? Now, we then need to define a zone, which we're going to call second floor zone. We're going to add, and you can see EnergyPro allows you to put in multiple rooms. One of the things you can do with the software is room-by-room load calculations. Now, I seriously doubt you're going to need to deal with that on an existing home. But if you had the situation where you wanted to do the room-by-room load calculations, you can continue to add rooms onto this HVAC system. So I'll just go ahead and I'll put one room on here, which is the, oh, I'm sorry, this is the second floor, which is the entire second floor. And we say that that is 600 square feet. Okay, so then we need to add associated walls with that second floor and associated windows. Okay, so now what we've done with the building tree, just at a conceptual level here, is we now have a first floor and a second floor HVAC system, and we identify what areas those serve. The reason we need to know that is if we're going to look at two furnaces with two different efficiencies, we're going to need to know which furnace is taking care of which piece of the home. And without that information, anything as far as the upgrade goes would be a guess. So obviously, if you wanted to be a little bit less sophisticated, you could put in your one furnace, put it in as one furnace, and come up with some sort of average efficiency. That's not going to be very accurate, but you know, that's, I'll leave it to you as to how accurate you need to be with this. Okay. So next question. You still there, Scott?
I'm sorry, are you able to hear me now?
Oh, I can hear you now.
Good, okay. So I'm going to ask the questions in the order they were presented. We might be coming back on certain topics, and I'll try to group them as I can. We did just get a question that was related to the HVAC systems, and they were asking if a homeowner doesn't know what the either the capacity or the efficiency of a particular HVAC unit is there a default or an undefined value, or what can be done about that?
Yeah, what you'll do is if you take a look at the home rating wizard, okay, and as we step through that, there are a bunch of defaults there for you. Okay, so this being a pre-1978, okay, the default would be a 75% furnace. You can see there's a pre-1983 heat pump. That's already got a default set for us. There's a 1978 plus gas furnace there. You'll see for the air conditioning, there's a pre-84 air conditioner. There's a 1992 to 2005 air conditioner. So those would be published defaults that the California Energy Commission has published. They call it their vintage default table. So for lack of better numbers, those would probably be the best thing to hang your hat on. Okay, next question.
Okay. All right, so going back up, let's see, we had a question about, could you explain the difference between a packaged DX and split DX system under an HVAC system? Yeah, you're not going to see packaged DX probably on most homes in this area. So a packaged DX system is going to be a rooftop unit where the whole thing is all packaged together as one HVAC system. You'll see that on commercial. So if you go by your retail strip mall and look up on the roof, you'll see all those boxes up there. Split system is going to be where you've got the air handler in the home or in the garage. Typically it's a gas furnace, but it could be a heat pump air handler. And sitting outside will be your air conditioner condenser. So hence the term split. Okay, thank you. So one is a request for an attic modeling example today. I think you'll eventually get to that.
Okay. Okay.
So I assume that's okay. So
let me go ahead and do that right now, because that's actually a really good topic, and it's actually a fairly sophisticated topic. So let me roll out of what I did here and roll my example back. So what we're going to do here is we are going to span the tree out, and you'll see that I have a roof here. And this roof is identified as being an R11 roof with attic. Now, probably the way the inputs are specified, that's probably what you found at the home. If you found R11 insulation up there, then it's probably good to go as it is. Now, looking at the alternative screen, we were looking to upgrade this to an R38 roof with attic. Okay, so we're basically saying we're just going to add additional insulation up there. However, if we click on that R38 roof with attic, we do have the ability off to the right here to make that a much more sophisticated attic. So we can, in fact, more sophisticated in a number of ways. One level of sophistication that we can add to it, which you might consider, is we might do what we call CRRC certified roofing. CRRC stands for Cool Roof Rating Council. So what we're doing is we're going to upgrade the home and we're going to put a cool roof on there. Now, we would get the information on the cool roof from the Cool Roof Rating Council's website or the manufacturer, and that will give us two numbers that we will use in our performance. The first number will be the aged solar reflectance for the roof. And so we could come along and say, okay, we're going to put a nice, let's say we're going to upgrade this and we're going to put a tile roof up there. Okay, and tile roof is going to have a solar reflectance of 44%. And we'll leave thermal emittance at 75%. Now, where did I get 44% from? I went to coolroofs.org. That's their website, www.coolroofs.org, and I looked up the performance of that particular roof. Okay, so there's one example of how we can do a more sophisticated modeling of the roof situation. The other thing that we can do is we can consider upgrading the roof, or excuse me, the attic, and we can consider doing things like attic radiant barriers. So that's going to save us a considerable amount on our air conditioning. And there's two kinds we can do. We can add a continuous radiant barrier that would be throughout the whole attic, or we could do, quote, over skip sheathing. And that would be where we come along and we throw an existing roof that has the skip sheathing still on there. We throw the plywood over there that has the radiant barrier already laminated on there, and just go right over the skip sheathing. Okay. Now, when you do the attic radiant barrier, other things you can consider doing on top of that. One is to increase the ventilation in the attic. So code requirement is that we have 1 in 300 attic vents. So that's 1 inch per 1 square foot per 300 square feet of attic. So we could consider doubling that to the 1 in 150. And that's going to supplement our attic radiant barrier by ventilating out all that heat that the radiant barrier is catching. Second thing we can do is we can upgrade the situation on the attic by moving or by adding a certain percentage of the vents up high in the attic. So obviously having a mixture of vents low and high is advantageous to the thermal stack effect. So we can come along and say, okay, we're going to put 30% of our vents up high in the roof, and there it is. So now we've got a roof that's got a much better, or an attic that's got a much better performance because of the radiant barrier, because of the increased ventilation, and also because of having the attic vents up high. One other option here is you can have an airspace between the roofing and the roof deck. This is something you might see when you do a tile roof and the tiles sit on battens. So the battens raise the roofing up above the roof deck, and it creates an airspace. That airspace between the tile and the roof deck actually provides quite a considerable benefit in the summertime to the performance of the roof. And so that's also taken into account if you wanted to do that. Okay, so that would be there, obviously, a super deluxe roof that I just created. Okay, so there's an example of more sophisticated modeling of attics that you can do for upgraded. I doubt you're going to find an existing home that has all of those features or any of those features that I just described there. But it certainly is an option to consider in upgrading the home. Okay.
Martyn, we have a couple of questions still pertaining to the attic, so I'll try and grab those if we can. what about a higher installation value or a value that's not there in the library? How do you